my name is Sarah Payne, and I wear many hats at the school. One of them is a Scholars Instructor. I also work in the mentoring program for certified coaches, which I love, and I teach in the certification program. Of all of the things that I love to coach on, relationships is my favorite for sure. And so I want to give you 3 tips for how to lead with your brain in relationships. Okay, the first tip is look for evidence that relationships exist in your mind. I don't know about you, but the first time I heard this concept taught in Scholars, I was like, what? It was like bending my brain a little bit. And so I think it's a fun challenge to look for ways that that's actually true. Let me show you what I mean by that, what I mean by looking for evidence. I like to think about relationships I have with people that like where we don't interact in person. Well, we all have relationships with people that we've never met. I mean, as a coach in Scholars and mentoring, I have coached many of you and I've never actually met you in person, right? But I have a relationship with you. And I like to take it even a step further that like, what about relationships I have with people that I've never even spoken to before? And so then my mind takes me to like famous people. Like I totally have a relationship with Oprah. 100%. I have a relationship with Oprah Winfrey. Never met her, never had a conversation with her, at least not a 2-sided conversation. And yet I love her. She has changed my life for the better so much. And she has no idea who I am. So that is another way that I look for evidence that relationships exist in the mind. And then another way that I like to show my brain that relationships exist only in the mind is with the people in my lives that I interact with in my head, but relationships exist in the mind. And play that game with yourself. Look for evidence that that is true. The second tip is watch out for these couple of thoughts. As scholars, we learn this work and we love it, right? We like dive into it. And so it's natural that we want to share it with the people that we love. But a thought that I notice in my brain sometimes, and I notice it in your brains when I coach you, is they could really use some coaching. Doesn't that sound just like such a true thought? Whenever I notice that thought in my brain, I use it as an opportunity to ask myself, where could I use some coaching here? What if the only person in this relationship that needed coaching were me? And then it just opens up my brain to what I think I would feel and believe if the people in my life who got coaching did what I thought that they should do. So watch out for that thought. They could really use some coaching. And the other one, if only they would fill in the blank, I could feel better. Now, most of us are familiar with the concept of manuals. These are instruction books that we write for the people in our lives that tell them how to behave so that we can feel better, right? I think it's probably safe to say that we all have manuals for the people in our lives. It's not about never having a manual. It's about recognizing when you do and when you're ready, being willing to drop that manual for your sake. And this is basically telling us that we need a manual, this thought. Those are the manuals that we have. And when we recognize those manuals, we can get so much more leverage over them. All right, the third and final tip is choose love for you. So often I see that we withhold love from other people because we think they don't deserve it. But we deserve to feel the love. What if you chose love because it feels so much better to love someone than it does to resent them or to be frustrated with them? And what if you did it for your sake because your love does not jump into their body? You feel love when you think loving thoughts. They have their experience based on their thoughts. So there you go. There are 3 tips for how to lead with your brain in relationships.